Well, it's really fun to bring the show back. Of course, it's a little bit different this time. We have the TCB band, who is his personal band that he put together, and they'll be singing along with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. So.
And if you need extra voices or anything on stage, I mean, I'll just let you know, I'll be in the audience just in case anything.
We've got the real thing.
Okay, here's how it happens. You're not going to be able to tell the difference whether it is the king or me, but anyway, here we go.
Now, ladies and gentlemen,
What do we fisherman Harrison?
Albert,
Fisherman Harrison. No. That's what she loves to do.
Falling in love with a little less conversation, a little more action. All this aggravation ain't satisfaction in me. I'm gonna do the jingle now, everybody listen. We're calling a trip. I can't walk around because I love you too much, baby. Priscilla, that is my life personified, because I'm caught in a trap. My trouble is I do love her too much. That is what it's about. Priscilla, I have to say, it's very humbling sitting here with you. I mean, this just makes my flesh tingle. He is my man. He is my hero of all time. And yet I'm thinking, I'm sitting here enjoying all of this. And for you, there must be a certain sadness tinged with this. Or is there not, because he'll always be alive because he's there on film?
No, there is definitely, it's emotional for me, for sure. And watching the performances, I mean, I was there, sitting there, watching many of these shows. So it is as if I'm there, watching it in person back in the day, but of course in present time. And I think the audience feels the same. I love going backstage, especially toward the end of the show, and watching all the faces of the audience and the experience that they're having, their own personal experience. And it's mind-boggling on the relationship that they have with him. And many of them have never met him, and they still.
But there's nobody. There has been nobody better.
Yes.
Nobody better as an entertainer, as a singer. And could I ask you as well? We see him there, and I'm looking at the '68 comeback there, and you know, so much of the Elvis in Las Vegas and how fantastic he looked. I mean, just amazing. Did he have the confidence? We see the king of rock and roll. Did he always think he would be at the top? Had he good confidence in who he was, or did he ever worry or fear it would disappear?
No, he did worry. Of course he worried. He worried when he was in the Army, coming back to the States after being drafted. He was out of the limelight for 2 years. He didn't know if the fans would still be supporting him, if he lost all his fans, because newer upcoming, rockers were coming up in the business. Even when he did the '68 special, nerve-wracking. I mean, when he wanted to stop right then and there, he didn't feel that he was going to, be able to perform the way that they saw him, because he had grown up, matured. Yeah. And of course, going into Vegas, you couldn't talk to him before the show. You didn't go into his dressing room. He had to do his own mental, emotional, how could I say, like a meditation for himself to get out there. But once he was on that stage, you would never know it, because he enjoyed it so much and loved it.
And the fans loved him, adored him.
Yes.
And you mentioned you were there at so many of those performances we've just been watching. What was that like for you as his wife, watching the women go completely and utterly crazy for your husband?
I always look down for the pretty ones, because they do it always with the pretty girls, really pretty girls on the two front rows. But yes, but yeah, that was part of the deal, and I used to always say he wanted the pretty girls there to have someone to react to, because they were the ones that would go crazy.
But they wanted to kiss him, touch him.
They all did.
And I'm a very jealous woman. I would find that. Well, did you find that hard?
Yeah, it was difficult, but of course that's part of the show, and the fans loved it, and I always loved to tease, very much so. He would see somebody pretty, and he'd pretend to go up there and kiss somebody else. He had a great sense of humor. He loved playing with the audience, and he was brilliant at it.
But did that affect your relationship? Because I would find that hard to separate my husband from the Elvis that the fans do. So, you know, you go home. We do it here sometimes. You know, we might have a disagreement on the show, might have a row in the car going home.
Yes, I was
You
never
take it
that-
home
yeah.
sometimes.
I was never that confident, ever that confident. I mean, here he was, I mean, sexiest, the most gorgeous, you know, human being, truly. So I was never that confident that there would never be another. Even though I know he loved me and he babied me, he made me feel comfortable, but there was always that possibility.
Did he ever sing to you? Did he ever sing to
He
you?
would sing, well, first of all, it'd be gospel songs.
Oh,
He loved the gospel.
biggest selling gospel artist ever.
Ever, yes.
Yeah.
So many people don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why his 3 Grammys were
Yeah.
gospel.
Some of my favourite music is his gospel music, I have to say. Did you ever sing in the shower?
Oh gosh, you know, no, not really.
I
mean,
do.
Elvis,
I do most of my Elvis in the shower.
unfortunately. Elvis really ever. I don't think I've ever heard him sing his own songs in the house. He would never play his own music.
Really?
No, never.
Now, here's the thing about the show, this Elvis in concert. Now, you're sitting there thinking, what's all this about? Like a projector, you put something on a big screen. If you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, you will go along and you will be transported. Transported, I think, is the exact term. There are multiple screens. There are multiple ways of doing it. One of the things I notice you don't do is you don't use a hologram. In this day and age, they can do these things. Is that the next stage, or what do you think?
No, it hasn't progressed really to what I feel would be him. It's very difficult to get his image. Very difficult because the way they do holograms is putting bits and pieces together. But I think you're seeing the real deal on this screen. I don't think the hologram can really match what you're seeing. I haven't really seen it that perfected. I'm not saying it'll never be around because it may progress on everybody, really.
Yeah.
So, but right now it's not in progress.
But there is a biopic film of his life.
Yes.
Is it in production yet?
Well, it's not a biopic of his life.
Yeah.
It's really about Colonel Parker and their relationship as of now.
Yeah.
As long
There have been so many people playing Elvis on screen, you know, so many biopics and
Yeah.
various things as well. The Colonel. Will we like the Colonel at the end of all of this, do you think? Or is...
I haven't. Baz has been over to my home. We have many discussions.
Did you like the Colonel or not? You see, because there's that big divide about the Colonel.
There is.
Was he manipulative? Did he hold Elvis back? What was your view of the Colonel?
You know, I personally have had nothing but good experiences with the Colonel. I knew, you know, listen, he was a human being. He was in fear that someone would grab Elvis and Elvis would go, you know, to them, which is Hollywood, and that does happen. I am mixed, honestly, about how he handled Elvis. You know, he was more of a promoter, not
Yes.
really a manager.
Yes,
A manager
gotcha.
really has to do what their artists want. And there was, you know, Colonel had other ideas because he was about making the money for the artists.
Well, look, if I could be a promoter now for Elvis in concert, the Greatest Hits Tour, November 25th, Manchester Arena, next night Cardiff, Motorpoint Arena, then the next night in Birmingham, then Sheffield, then in Glasgow, and then December the 1st, London at the O2 Arena, and you'll be on stage for all of them, won't you?
I'll be on stage for all of them, but the TC Band will be joining, and this is another, let's say, dream that Elvis had, was to get the TC Band with a full orchestra, and we're doing it. This has never been done, and Jerry Schilling is joining me. We are hosting the show. We're telling stories that we are sharing with home movies, of which
Oh, the home
both of
movies
us
were my
do.
favourite part.
Yeah, they're different now.
Just lovely.
Yeah, no, incredible.
It's a great
Ken,
show.
while you're there, just while I've got Priscilla here, and then hold on,
Make it stop.
We can go all together with suspicious. Look,
Is that it?
that could be the hologram, couldn't it? The whole thing. That's Ken, the photographer, just smile over there. I think I might curl lip. Do you think I can do a curl lip?
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, Priscilla.
So,
Help him.
I'll be with the break.
I'm so sorry, Priscilla. I'm so sorry. Security, can we take this man away, please? Let's not quickly go to the break, get rid of him. After the break, we'll be showing you how to stand out this party season. Celebrity colorist Josh Wood is going to help you find
I have to stay forever.